to be exact, as of the last 2 hours. A definitive number, considering this war is now in its 11th month. Most of those killed are women and children. And this is as ceasefire talks resume in the Qatari capital, Doha. We do understand that an Israeli delegation has been sent to be part of those discussions. Hamas has said that it will not be attending because it wants to abide by a ceasefire agreement that Joe Biden set forth just a few weeks ago. Those negotiations, of course, underway as the Israeli strikes continue on Palestinian territories and on Gaza. Following Abbas's appearance in the Turkish Parliament is our correspondent, our diplomatic correspondent, Hassan Abdullah, and he joins me now. And Hassan, this is an important address for Türkiye and, of course, for Palestine. What are we expecting to hear from Abbas?
That's right. Well, we're expecting the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas to raise the case, the situation in the occupied territories. We're expecting him to talk about what's happening there, the dire situation, how the health infrastructure has been completely destroyed by Israel. And we're also expecting him to talk about the Turkish assistance for the Palestinians. Now, from Turkish perspective, there's a lot of symbolism here. Türkiye is basically giving this platform to the leader of the Palestinian Authority to basically send out a message that these oppressed people need to be given a platform. We've heard repeatedly from Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. He said that it's important that all countries around the globe take a very clear position on this situation, not sit on the fence, to declare an occupation what it is and to declare the conditions in the occupied territories as nothing short of apartheid. And this is what we are expecting. We're expecting this to be the message coming out of the Turkish Parliament later in the day. We're expecting Mahmoud Abbas to start his address shortly. Remember that one of the reasons why this invitation was sent to him, even though Turkey, of course, has always been given platform to the Palestinians, was the US Congress inviting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, giving him standing ovation. Turkey has said that that should not have happened, especially given what has been coming out of the International Court of Justice and given the requests for the arrest warrants and so forth and so on. So Turkey has argued that this is basically legitimation of an illegal occupation and of apartheid-like conditions and of what Turkey calls a genocide. So the position from Ankara has been that it's about time the international community that recognizes what is happening, but often because of economic concerns, especially of countries in the global south, they have sort of been sitting on the fence. And this has been repeatedly the message from Ankara, that all the countries of the world who have the conscience and who understand the reality of the occupied territories and what has been happening there for the last few decades, they need to come out, start giving platform, start taking practical steps towards Palestinian statehood. And this is basically, according to Turkish officials, another step in that direction.
And Hassan, as you say, there are many countries in the global south who have stood up and stood against Israel's alleged atrocities in Gaza. One of them being South Africa, which has filed a case of genocide against Israel at the International Court of Justice. Türkiye, of course, being the latest country to lodge an application to join that case. And it's one of many steps that Türkiye has taken to put a spotlight on what's happening in Gaza. Just take us through how the country's been working to ensure that Israel's actions are being held to account.
Well, Turkey has been working at different levels. So, for example, if you talk about the case at the ICJ, even before Turkey formally joined this, Türkiye had been instrumental in collecting evidence. So, for example, we have Turkish agency, the Anadolu agency, that had presented substantial evidence that was presented before the ICJ and used by lawyers of South Africa. And this has formed a substantial part of that case. So Turkey has been working at that level to strengthen the legal case. There are other sort of areas in which Turkey has been operating. So, for example, Turkey has identified as part of its strategy information management domain. Turkey says that when you look at some of the mainstream media outlets, some of the largest global media outlets, they're reporting in such a way with the pretension as if this all started on the 7th of October last year and ignoring the bitter reality that has existed for the last few decades. So Turkey says it's pertinent that there's awareness of the dire situation that Palestinians have been living under for many decades now. The second dimension to this, of course, is the diplomatic arena. When it comes to international diplomacy, Turkey has been using every platform to raise the case for Palestine, whether it be bilateral forums or various multilateral forums. At the OIC, for example, Turkey has argued that while there has been unanimous condemnation of the actions of Israel, when it comes to action, there is this divergence that is affecting the case, and Turkey has been calling on Middle Eastern partners in particular to take a very unified position and to take steps and to use their leverage with the United States to ensure that practical steps are taken for a ceasefire and ultimately towards Palestinian statehood.
Okay, Hassan Abdullah, we will be coming back to you once, of course, Mahmoud Abbas does start his address to the Turkish Parliament. These are live visuals from Ankara. Let's just listen in to what's being said.
All of the votes, we stood with the people of Palestine. That's why, once again, by taking this opportunity, I would like to thank wholeheartedly the members of the Turkish Grand National Assembly for their noble stance with the Palestinian cause. At the outset of my remarks, for decades, there have been the people of Palestine whose houses have been destroyed, who has been martyred and were subjected to all kinds of torture and oppression. But still, the people of Palestine stood against that oppression, and I would like to congratulate all the fighters of Palestine for standing with the Palestinian cause. Remzi, and I will cite the names of two very important fighters, Yasser Arafat and Sheikh Ahmed Yasin. Within their presence, I would like to, of course, congratulate this noble stance of the people of Palestine. We remember their noble fight. At the same time, as of the October the 8th, unfortunately, more than 40,000 Palestinian people have been martyred, and we would like to pray for their souls. The majority of those martyrs are women and innocent children, and those innocent people have lost their lives, but unfortunately the whole world is watching, so we are calling upon all the countries to undertake responsibility. So by taking this opportunity, the first Prime Minister, elected Prime Minister of Gaza, Ismail Haniyeh, so we would like to pray for his soul as well and all the souls that have been lost in Gaza. Ismail Haniyeh has been registered as the first elected Prime Minister in Gaza, in Palestine. But after his three sons and his grandsons and granddaughters have been martyred, he indeed showed great perseverance, and his words are registered in the history of the world. And he said that the blood of my sons, my daughters and grandsons and granddaughters are not more valuable than the blood of the ordinary Palestinian people, he said. But his son, after his dad passed away, uttered the same words and same sentences, and he said that the blood of my father is not more valuable than the blood of the martyrs. martyrs in Gaza, and he stood against the whole world. So this sincerity, this perseverance requires great appreciation. So we would like to remind that perseverance once again, and we remember them with gratitude and mercy. Valuable members of the Parliament, we certainly believe that the martyrs do not die, so they are immortal. So we have no doubt whatsoever that their souls are with us, because we believe in the words of Quran. So as our Holy Quran dictates, do not call them dead, do not call the martyrs dead, because they are alive and they are among us. So we really feel the souls of our Palestinian brothers and sisters with us. Dear brothers and sisters, after the martyrdom of Ismail Haniyeh, the Republic of Türkiye has participated and attended at the highest level to this ceremony. And more than 40 members of the Parliament of the Republic of Türkiye also conveyed the condolences of the Turkish people to the whole Palestinian citizens. Well, valuable members of the Parliament, the International Court of Justice initiated a case against Israel. So we wholeheartedly believe that this will usher a brand new era for both Israel and also Palestine. So the gang of Netanyahu shouldn't think that the thing will turn out bright for them. These are their good days. In the upcoming days, we will see that Netanyahu and his gang will be kept accountable in the international court. So within this framework, as the Republic of Türkiye, we also showed our noble stance in the International Court of Justice. So that's why I would like to show once again that the Republic of Türkiye showed its stance, because in the International Court of Justice, Türkiye has indeed shown his opinion. As a result, on behalf of the Turkish nation, the Republic of Türkiye stood with the Palestinian cause. So the happy days are over for Israel. That's what I would like to state, because the axis of humanity is established for the protection of the blood of the innocent people in Gaza. Everywhere in the world, without showing discrimination whatsoever from different ideologies, from different races and from different ethnicities, billions of people are standing with the cause of Palestine. The whole humanity will walk this path with the Palestinian brothers and sisters. And at the end of the day, the Palestinian cause will prevail. Last but not least, I would like to state that Gaza and Palestine is not far away from Türkiye. This is a national cause for the Turkish people. Palestine is inherited to us by Hazreti Ömer, and it is inherited to us by Selahaddin Eyyubi. In the Yafa gate, it is written, La ilahe illallah, so there is only one God, and Süleyman the Magnificent also inherited Palestine to us. Even in the hardest times, Sultan Abdülhamid didn't open the gate for the Zionists in the Palestine. Last but not least, after the Ottoman Empire lost the First World War, the Ottoman troops had to withdraw from the region. But although this has been the case, Corporal Hassan indeed waited in Palestine until he died. So this is the cultural inheritance that we have, and we will continue to protect this inheritance until we give our last breath. So as a country, as a nation who indeed protects this inheritance, hopefully we will see the days when the Palestinian cause will prevail. So only after a state of Palestine with its territorial integrity on the basis of 1967 borders, we will continue our fight. So this meeting that we hold today is important because Mahmoud Abbas, as the head of the government of the Palestine, will address the national parliament. But at the same time, this meeting shows the commitment of the Turkish people to the Palestinian cause. This is an historical session. That's why I would like to thank every one of you for attending this session. Starting with our president, I also would like to welcome our valuable diplomatic mission representatives for being with us. I wholeheartedly thank them and I welcome you all. Thank you very much. Valuable members of the parliament, the heads of state Mahmoud Abbas attended our session. So on behalf of our Grand National Assembly, I welcome him, and without further ado, in order to deliver his speech, I would like to invite Mahmoud Abbas to the rostrum, please.
نبدأ
تفضل
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. All you who believe, all believers, be patient and be steadfast and keep your territories and fear Allah that you may be successful. Allah has told the truth in the Holy Quran. Mr. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, my brother, the President of Türkiye, Your Excellency Nu'man Kurtulmuş, the Speaker of the Turkish Parliament, brothers and sisters, members of the Turkish Parliament, the respected ones, guests, I address the brothers in the Turkish people. I say, peace be upon you. Peace be upon you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I've come from Palestine, from the blessed land, the land of steadfastness, from Bayt al-Maqdis and its neighborhoods. I've come with pain and hopes of the Palestinian people. The Palestinian people who are living the pain and the Nakba, the ongoing Nakba catastrophe since 1948. The Palestinian people are facing the crimes of the occupation and the lack of justice, the international justice. The Palestinian people are holding fast their sacred lands and national rights and land and home, and the Palestinian people believe that Allah, the most powerful, will crown our struggle with success and victory and freedom, and Allah will help us to end this catastrophe which has been ongoing for a long time. Please allow me, brothers and sisters, to start in speaking to you, to ask Allah to have mercy on those tens of thousands of martyrs who were killed by the Israeli oppression and the genocide against them committed by the Israeli occupation in Gaza and in the occupied West Bank and the Quds al-Sharif. The last massacre, the last oppression was the crime against the leader, martyr Ismail Haniyeh. I call upon you, I call on you, my brothers and sisters, to say Al-Fatiha on his soul and the martyrs of Palestine, the righteous martyrs. We say Al-Fatiha, the opener of the Holy Quran, please. I salute you all as you are gathered, united here in this parliament, under this dome, to show solidarity, support of the Palestinian people and the just cause. And I fully trust your solidarity, and I am sure that it is on top of your priorities and discussions in this parliament, just to heal our wounds as we are facing historic injustice and massacres are committed against us and war crimes are committed against us, and as I said, genocide, where the international courts have condemned them, those crimes and genocide and massacres. So I ask you, how can the international community to keep silent as the massacres that are taking place and committed by the Israeli occupation forces in the evacuation or shelter centers in Gaza, including the massacre, in the school of Tabi'in massacre that took place a few days ago. 100 martyrs were killed in one night, let alone the injuries, the countless injuries. We highly appreciate the role of the pioneering role of Türkiye, led by President Erdogan, with the courageous attitudes in defending the Palestinian people, the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people in freedom and independence. We appreciate the attitude of all Turkish parties and the Turkish civil society. All of them reject and condemn the ugly crimes of the Israeli occupation against the Palestinian people and the holy places of Palestine. And I profoundly thank the Turkish people for their genuine emotions and sentiments towards the Palestinian people and the noble deeds shown by the Turkish people in showing solidarity to the Palestinian people. And the Palestinian people can't forget the martyrs of the Turkish martyrs for Palestine and the Holy Quds. We especially salute the Turkish decision in joining the bid in the case submitted by South Africa against the genocide committed by Israel against our people in Gaza at the International Court of Justice. And we salute the attitude to end the trade commerce. $10 billion were stopped between Israel and Türkiye just to show solidarity for the Palestinian people. We salute this. We appreciate this. We largely rely on the solidarity showed by Turkish people that has made Al-Quds and Palestine. The central cause of the central cause in Turkey is Palestine, and this is the qualities of the Turkish people, the morals of the Turkish people, and this is the policy of the good Turkish people. Mr. President, brothers and sisters, the genuine goal of Israel in this genocide in Gaza and the West Bank and Al-Quds is to uproot the presence of Palestinians on their homeland and to displace them, forcibly displace them from Palestine, as what took place in 1948 and 1967. They just want to renew the displacement of the Palestinians outside of their country, and this won't take place at all. Let them do what they want. Let them try what they want to try, the Israelis, he means. Our people are holding fast to their holy places, to their homeland, and they will not leave them for the occupation. Let all the cost be. Since October 7, till the time being, 40,000 Palestinians have been killed, including children and women and men. 80,000 injured, 10,000 missing. In the West Bank, 10,000 killed. Despite all this, we are steadfast and we will not leave our homeland. We appreciate the role of Jordan, Egypt and Jordan, who reject the displacement projects by Israel, and that we are on the same page with them, and they support us, and we appreciate the international consensus. There is international consensus against the displacement projects, Israeli displacement projects, which breach the international law. We've always said, and we say today and tomorrow, Gaza is part and parcel of the Palestinian state, united Palestinian state. We've always said that there is no state in Gaza, and there is no state without Gaza at the same time. Our people, our Palestinian people, will not break down, will not surrender, and we will rebuild Gaza. 70% of Gaza was destroyed, demolished, but we will rebuild it, and we will heal the wounds of our people with the help of the Palestinian people and with the help of the Arab and Islamic nations and the free people around the globe within the independent Palestinian state, with the capital Al-Quds, the Eastern Quds, as its capital. Let time be long, but this will take place. Let time be long. Let the sacrifices be big. We will do it. As for the killers and the war criminals, they will not escape immune from the being held accountable, as they have committed massacres that will not be forgotten with the passage of time. We will keep our struggle to achieve the justice in Palestine. We will keep our tireless work with the international institutions most of them, the International Court of Justice and the International Criminal Court, that they said that Netanyahu and one of his ministers are wanted to be behind bars, to be in prison. We will work with the General Assembly and the Security Council. The Palestinian state is fixed, steadfast, at home and in terms of the international law. Ladies and gentlemen, with this historic steadfastness ongoing for more than 100 years, the Palestinian people are not defending Palestine only and the Palestinian identity and the political, religious, historic rights only. We are defending. We are in the forefront to defend the Arab and Islamic nations against this imperialist, expansionist project, we are fighting against the aspirations of the Zionist movement that they want to control the whole region. We won't allow them to do it. Brothers and sisters, we know well the Al-Quds. We know through history that Al-Quds is near to your hearts. We know this very well. Al-Quds al-Sharif. We will not let Al-Quds al-Sharif down. We have always said this since the Ottoman times, till the time being. We know well Al-Quds as it is there to your hearts, to the hearts of the Turkish people. And Al-Quds is near to our hearts and to millions of people. Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, Al-Aqsa Mosque in Al-Quds is the first of the two prayers directions, Ul al-Qiblatain. And it is the second holy mosque and the third of the sacred holies, the third holy place. So it was built before the Prophet Muhammad's mosque in Al-Madinah. And it is the Ascension, the place where Prophet Muhammad was taken in Isra during the Ascension journey. Al-Quds is the crown of the pearl of the crown and the holy place for the Jesus. It is a red line for you and for us. Al-Quds is a red line for both of us. There is no one among us, and no one can let down any atom of Palestine or any stone from Al-Quds, which is a moral responsibility, the moral responsibility of religion and the moral responsibility of history as well. More than 1,400 years ago, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, blessing be upon him, said, there is a group of my Islamic nation. It is authentic prophetic speech. A group of my nation are defending and fighting and oppressing or fighting against their enemy. They are keeping their struggle, and they are not interested in those who let them down until Allah's command comes. And this group fighting, then Prophet Muhammad was asked, where are they, Prophet? He said then, they are in Bayt al-Maqdis and the neighborhoods of Bayt al-Maqdis. They are still fighting, struggling against the Israelis. And we tell our Prophet, noble Prophet Muhammad, all blessings be upon him, your moral responsibility pledged to us is the moral responsibility of the people that will not let down, and the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Al-Quds, where you prayed, Prophet Muhammad, the Al-Quds, where you prayed Prophet Muhammad. We tell Prophet Muhammad, as Prophet Muhammad traveled, and he was the Imam of prophets. Al-Quds, where you prayed Prophet Muhammad, when you were the Imam of all prophets, will be kept in our hearts and eyes, despite all sacrifices that we do. All plots, all conspiracies that aim to change the historic status quo of the holy places. The last one of the conspiracies 2 days ago, the last one was the storming of the occupation. Ministers stormed. What's his name? I've forgotten. Ministers in the occupation. Ministers cannot recall the names of the ministers. Those violations against the Holy Mosque won't succeed. Those acts of storms, they try to provoke us, but they won't succeed. The Holy Mosque is ours. The Holy Mosque, Al-Aqsa Mosque is ours, and the churches are ours as well. They won't provoke us and they won't succeed. Brothers and sisters, they've talked about scenarios prepared here and there for what is called the next day of the oppression in Gaza. And we tell them openly, and let each one hear what we say. Gaza Strip, we tell them Gaza Strip and the West Bank and Eastern Quds, they are one entity in terms of geography to form the Palestinian independent state according to the international legitimacy. This is the international legitimacy. Where there is a legitimate government controlling those territories. Without achieving this and without embodying that and recognizing the Palestinian state, this region won't enjoy peace and security. As the Palestinian cause is not settled, so there is no settlement or stability in the whole region. I tell you, give us our rights, or then you are suffering from instability here. So the violence will continue in this region if the Palestinian state is not achieved. The path of peace starts with Palestine and ends at Palestine. In this context, we are confronting this brutal occupation forces as they are committing crimes against our people. We salute the peoples and movements all around the globe. We talk about the movements. We salute the movements who are supporting us, who are taking to streets against the oppression, and they said aloud and condemned the occupation forces and the destruction caused in Gaza after the occupation committed the genocides and ethnic cleansing and apartheid crimes in the occupied territories of Palestine. Let me be off the script now, and I tell you, now, the Jews in America, I'm not talking about Europe, I'm talking about America. 40% of the Jews in America consider Israel a criminal state. I'm talking about the Jews. So the status quo is changing. Humanity as a whole are against the extremism and aggression, and the international community cannot be silent as they are saying the starvation and the torture from which our female detainees and men detainees, Palestinian detainees, are exposed to. So our detainees are under torture at the occupation detention centers, and we call on all to make an action against the violations committed against our detainees and prisoners. They need to be released as soon as possible. 10,000 prisoners are held in the occupation prisons without committing any crime. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, we will keep working for the sake of our national entity. and unity, we have discussed the national unity, which is the shortest way to achieve victory, the victory of Palestine. When we are united together in ranks, then the victory will be close within our hands against our occupation, this enemy that is targeting all of us. If we are under the PLO, which is the sole and only legitimate representative of the Palestinian people, it is the security for us and our bridge towards independence and freedom. And we thank all brothers, most of all the Turkish people and the friends who have exerted efforts to achieve this unity, this noble Palestinian unity. We will work tirelessly until we are united. We will pay I've just said you have national security. The president is from a party and 4 members from other parties. We want to copy what the Turkish scenario in Palestine. So, as I'm talking about gratitude, I thank Türkiye for giving the humanitarian aid supplies to our people in Gaza. Dozens of thousands of tons were given to our people in Gaza by the Turkish people. And Türkiye has received at the Turkish hospitals the injuries and the patients. And people in Türkiye took to the streets chanting pro-Palestinian slogans. Our Turkish brothers in all levels, the diplomatic, the political, parliamentary and media and legal levels, there you have fought battles with the Palestinian people to defend the Palestinian rights and to enhance the Palestinian story and to end the lies and misinformation of Israel and the Israeli media. And most of all, what Netanyahu did in the US Congress, he opened endless lies at the US Congress. We thank all states, Nia and the brothers, who are conscious to support the Palestinian people and to show solidarity to the Palestinian people at the same time. Brothers and sisters, lies circulated by Israel cannot be believed by any person. Targeting UN institutions and organizations cannot be accepted. And also targeting protesters who show solidarity with the Palestinian people, and they evade from the responsibility of destroying the infrastructure in Gaza. And they claim, Israel claims, that all this destruction and starvation are merely, but the UN reports are telling the truth. And the International Criminal Court decision that called on Israel to halt the aggression that has killed more than 150,000 of martyrs, injuries, and missing. Most of them, unfortunately, are women and children. Also, 2/3 of Gaza Strip were destroyed. 2/3 of Gaza Strip are destroyed. Schools, mosques, churches, institutions, streets, all of them are destroyed. A whole displacement of our people has been committed against our people in Gaza, and the displacement as well and injuries in the occupied West Bank. Despite all this, the United States has used veto 3 times has vetoed the resolution at the Security Council when people called to end the oppression in Gaza. US used 3 vetoes. The representative of the US at the Security Council only, he used veto, and 14 members called on ending the aggression. This is the US. The US is the plague. The US is the plague indeed. The Israeli occupation to dedicate trying to detach Gaza Strip from the responsibility of the Palestinian PLO and from other areas of Palestine. But we tell the Israelis that the Palestinian state is the best or the only one to claim the rule of Gaza and the West Bank with the eternal capital as Al-Quds al-Sharif is the eternal, and this is the term you are using in Turkey, Al-Quds al-Sharif, the Holy Quds, and all Palestinian people. Yes, indeed. The Palestinian people, with all components and parties and factions, have never and will not accept the presence of the Israeli occupation in one area of Gaza or the occupied West Bank or Al-Quds. We won't accept this. Our priorities. Our priority is to end the Israeli aggression in all possible means, at any cost, and the immediate withdrawal of Israel from the territories of Palestine, and rushing to give the humanitarian aid, as Türkiye is doing. Humanitarian aid supplies must be reached to Gaza, and displacement must be banned, as what took place in the last years, and the displaced people must come back to their homes, and the settlers' crimes must be stopped in Al-Quds and the West Bank, because the dearest to us is the blood of our people and the lives of our people in their historic country. So I call on the Security Council now, and I've always called on them, but again I call on the Security Council to implement the resolutions passed at the Security Council to end to cease fire and the withdrawal of the occupation forces from Gaza Strip without any delay, and implementing the recommendations of the International Justice Court. The Security Council passed 80 resolutions in terms of Palestine. None of them was implemented because of the US. We assure here that the security and military tactics committed or pursued by Israel are not alternative for the political process based on the international justice, with recognizing the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people. When we recognize these rights, the stability can be achieved in the region. All attempts of Israel to play on partial solutions, they say, we give you partial solution today and we give you the rest later. We can't accept partial solutions given by Israel. The whole of Gaza belongs to us, to the Palestinian state. They are equal to the West Bank and Al-Quds. We won't accept partial solutions that could detach any part of our country under any condition of the conditions. These territories belong to the Palestinian state. For this, I announce in front of you here, and I tell the whole world, we have no other solutions. The best solution is, I tell our Palestinian people, and I've decided to go with all leadership of the leadership of Palestine, we decided to go to Gaza.
وسوف أعمل
And I will work
بكل طاقتي
with all my capacity, with all my power, to be all with our people to end this aggression.
حتى لو كلفنا ذلك حياة.
Even if my life was at risk. Our lives as leaders are not dearer than the lives of children in Gaza or anyone in Gaza. We are implementing the Sharia. We seek victory or martyrdom. This is according to Islamic Sharia.
وفي هذا المقام
Here also,
أنا أمام منبر دولي.
it is an international podium here. I call on Arab states leaders and Islamic leaders and good people, good leaders around the globe, and the UN Secretary General, just join us to visit Gaza. Join us all together. Let us go to Gaza to halt the aggression and uproot the threats of Israel to establish security and peace for all. And I call on the Security Council with those unimplemented 80 resolutions passed in the Security Council. I ask the Security Council just give us safe way to reach Gaza, and then my next destination indeed after Gaza will be my next destination after Gaza. I need to go to Al-Quds al-Sharif, the Holy Quds, which is going to be our eternal capital.
أيتها الأخوات
Sisters and brothers, we are working tirelessly overnight and during the day to mobilize international support to recognize Israel, to recognize the Palestinian state. We have reached 149 states to recognize the Palestinian state. We have 149 states recognize Palestine, while they have less than 50. Israel has less than 50 states to recognize Israel. But we will keep enlarge the number in the last months. Recently, 5 states in the Caribbean recognized Palestine at the same time. And 5 European states recognized Palestine, the Palestinian state. And the last one, Armenia. We are working endlessly to increase the number of the states that recognize the Palestinian state and to have permanent membership of Palestine at the United Nations. Can you imagine that we are observing member, while other minor states, we respect them, while other minor states are full members. Why? The Palestinian people are 14 million people in Palestine who are not recognized at the United Nations, while Kirgizia, with a small number, they are recognized as members at the United Nations. We need to be given our rights to be full member at the United Nations, not observers. And we remind that the United Nations recognized us as observing state in 2012. So it was given from the General Assembly. We received a resolution from the General Assembly to 1719 gave us the right to be observing members, but the United States used all its influence to deviate us from success, but they failed, and we became observing state. And we joined 120 resolutions, international treaties and deals. We have 500 deals. We have joined them, and we will continue joining other international agreements and treaties, including the International Criminal Court and the International Court of Justice, where we are holding Israel, the State of Israel, accountable for the crimes committed against Palestinian people in Gaza. And we remind you here that our political struggle, diplomatic and legal struggle, in addition to the popular peaceful resistance, we are proud. Let me tell you that we are claiming the peaceful resistance, not the armed one. We will continue our resistance until the occupation ends. Mr. President, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we've worked for 2 years to prepare to International Criminal Court in mobilizing the international influence around the globe, and we have achieved that. General Assembly Resolution A-177-400 on the 30th of December 2022. This resolution gave questions to the court about the legal repercussion of the violations committed by Israel against the Palestinian people in terms of the self-determination and for the long occupation against the Palestinian territories and the settlements, illegal settlements, and changing the identity of Al-Quds. All these questions were submitted by the courts in addition to the practices. This is thanks to Türkiye with South Africa. They went to the International Criminal Court, and these recommendations came thanks to Türkiye. This is a court with 15 judges. That court called on Israel to implement 8 articles, called on the international states and the General Assembly to implement these resolutions, even if they are recommendations. But these recommendations are valuable from the highest, the supremest court in the globe. And it was a historic step. The International Criminal Court on the 19th of July 2024, 1 month ago, gave its resolution about the repercussion of the occupation of the Palestinian people, which was considered illegal, and called to end the occupation permanently and compensate the Palestinian people as the territories were plundered and the resources. And the court called to dismantle the settlements and evacuate or freeing and removing the apartheid wall. And the court recognized what the occupation. The court said that the Israeli occupation committed racial discrimination with the presence of other institutions not to recognize the Israeli presence on our territories. They considered it illegal presence, and the United Nations need to consider the measures to end the Israeli occupation of our land as soon as possible. But the key question here is, what is next? What is next? The resolution. There were a lot of resolutions passed. What is next? How can we make change on the ground? The answer is we need to work in different frames with other states to achieve this for peace and security and stability. The world has started to understand step by step what justice is, right, injustice is, and the European states started to recognize the Palestinian state, and other states have started to recognize. And then we are going to press US to recognize us as well. Mr. President, brothers and sisters, we call on the international community and international organizations and the states together, singly and together, to take the measures, legal measures, against the violations, Israeli violations against our people of international law, and we call them to push Israel to implement what was passed by the International Criminal Court, and we call on Turkey, and we hope our brothers in Turkey to help Palestine in this aspect. Without hope, I am sure Turkey will do the job, the best job. And last, I say, in the name of the Palestinian people, the steadfast people, a patient, struggling people, we are holding fast to our national identity and our legitimate rights and our holy places and our homeland. And we will establish independence and the freedom, whether it takes long time or short. We are ongoing in our struggle. The occupation is doomed to end, will certainly end. Palestine is free, staying forever. Glory and eternity for the martyrs, the righteous martyrs. And we wish speedy recovery for the injuries and for prisoners. We wish freedom for our prisoners. We will go together towards freedom to the Palestinian state. Long live the brotherly ties of Palestinian, Turkish, of Türkiye, and we thank Türkiye. Long live the sentiments of Türkiye and Palestine. We thank you, Mr. President, for all what you've done for the Palestinian people. Mr. President Erdogan, we thank you for ongoing support to the Palestinian people to support our just cause, and peace be upon you.
And that was the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas addressing for the first time the Turkish Parliament in Ankara. You can see there he received a standing ovation from all of the members in the Parliament, including the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Now, in his speech to the Parliament, Mahmoud Abbas made some wide-ranging comments, including announcing that he is prepared to go, along with other Palestinian leaders, to the Gaza Strip, and that he urged other supporters to join him on his trip to the Strip, which at this point is going to happen at an unspecified date. Throughout his remarks, Mahmoud Abbas also said that the Palestinian people stand against the Zionist movement that seeks to control the entire region. He vowed to rebuild Gaza, to heal the wounds of the Palestinian people with the support of Arab Islamic nations and Türkiye under an independent Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital. We're going to go now to our diplomatic correspondent Hassan Abdullah, who was following the remarks from the Turkish Parliament. Unfortunately, it looks like we don't have the connection with Hassan as yet, but hopefully we will touch base with him a little later. But I want to now bring in our guest here in the studio, who was also following the speech with us. Helen Sari Ertem, thank you so much for joining us. This is an historic moment for the Turkish Parliament, but also for the Palestinian people. The President Mahmoud Abbas addressing MPs and the Turkish president there. What did you make of his remarks? Because we know he made some very strident comments against Israel, which he has done in the past, but he also announced that he was going to visit Gaza himself. What's your reaction to the speech we just saw?
Well, he's been a very symbolic figure, actively involved in the Palestinian cause since the very beginning. So Mahmoud Abbas is a very important name. He was a close colleague of Yasser Arafat in the past, and he's now the leader of Al-Fatih movement. What I got out of his speech in the Turkish Parliament is, first of all, this is a very symbolic, very significant message that was given to the international community. Some of his messages were also involving the United Nations as well. He criticized about Palestine being an observer country still in the United Nations, because he was quite rightfully questioning why many other small countries in terms of physical conditions, let's say geography, are full member of the United Nations, and why Palestine is still an observer member. Some of his messages were also underlining the brotherly relations that has been going on between Türkiye and Palestine since the beginning of the Palestinian cause. Let's say the starting of the issue in 1948. For that reason, in many different dimensions, this was and this is a very symbolic message, symbolic speech in the Turkish Parliament. And I guess he also continued to give a message to the international community that he himself and his followers, the Palestinian people in general, will continue to show or to pursue a peaceful resistance. And he once again underlined that he doesn't want an armed solution, but he looks for, and he has been seeking for a peaceful resistance in order to find a solution, a permanent solution to the Palestinian cause.
And Helen, you're an associate professor of international relations at Istanbul Medeniyet University. So no doubt world leaders have been watching this address in the Turkish Parliament as well. Throughout his speech, Mahmoud Abbas called on the UN Security Council to do more to protect the civilians in Gaza. We know they've failed to do so up until now. The death toll in Gaza has exceeded 40,000, yes, since October the 7th. How do you think world leaders might be reacting to Mahmoud Abbas's remarks?
Well, of course, it's very important for them to show a kind of difference in their attitude towards the Palestinian people's suffering in Gaza especially, and in Palestine in general. There should be something more from the European countries, from the United States, and I guess the recent messages, especially coming from the United States, regarding the possibility of Turkey being a mediator between Israel and Palestine, and trying to find a kind of ceasefire possibility in coming days. Today is very important, 15th of August. So we should for sure see much more from the European countries, especially from leading countries like the United Nations. We already have the support, let's say, of Russia, of China, in order to find a mediation, in order to reach a ceasefire among the parties, but we have to see more, especially from the United States leadership.
Okay, Helen Sari Ertem, thank you so much. We do hope you can stay with us here in the studio as we continue to get more reaction from Mahmoud Abbas's speech. As we've been covering, the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has addressed the Turkish Parliament, where he started his speech by remembering the millions of people in the besieged Gaza Strip, as well as the thousands who have lost their lives in the constant Israeli bombardment.
I've come from Palestine, from the blessed land, the land of steadfastness, from Bayt al-Maqdis and its neighborhoods. I've come with pain and hopes of the Palestinian people. The Palestinian people who are living the pain and the Nakba, the ongoing Nakba catastrophe since 1948. The Palestinian people are facing the crimes of the occupation and the lack of justice, the international justice. The Palestinian people are holding fast their sacred lands and national rights and land and home, and the Palestinian people believe that Allah, the most powerful, will crown our struggle with success and victory and freedom, and Allah will help us to end this catastrophe which has been ongoing for a long time. Please allow me, brothers and sisters, to start in speaking to you, to ask Allah to have mercy on those tens of thousands of martyrs who were killed by the Israeli oppression and the genocide against them committed by the Israeli occupation in Gaza and in the occupied West Bank and the Quds al-Sharif.
Well, let's go now to our diplomatic correspondent Hassan Abdullah, who was following Mahmoud Abbas's speech from Ankara. Good to have you with us, Hassan. A historic address to the Turkish Parliament, and Mahmoud Abbas thanking Türkiye for its solidarity with Palestine. Tell us more about what Abbas had to say about Türkiye's role in this conflict.
Well, I think as far as Turkey's role is concerned, the message from Mahmoud Abbas was very clear. He was very appreciative of the role Turkey has been playing, talking about Turkish support in the international diplomatic arena, as well as the sacrifices Turkey has made when it comes to the support for Palestinian cause. For example, he talked about how Turkey had sacrificed nearly $10 billion worth of trade with Israel for the sake of its support for the Palestinian people. And he talked about how Turkey had continued to provide assistance to the Palestinians on the diplomatic front, also on the legal front. And I think one of the messages that really stands out is Mr. Abbas identifying one of the major sources of the problem. Remember that generally his faction has not been so critical of the United States, at least. You know, there have been moments where they haven't been very clear about the identification of this problem. But this is what Ankara has been saying. Ankara has been critical of the role of the United States in all this. And we heard the Palestinian president criticizing the United States, saying that the US was the main reason why some 80 UN resolutions remained unimplemented. And also, for example, when it comes to Palestine's permanent membership of the United Nations, despite overwhelming support at the UN General Assembly, it was the United States and its role at the UN Security Council why the Palestinians were still missing out. So I think we're witnessing this convergence. Ankara has been saying that a very clear line has to be taken, and from the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, the statements, some of the statements, I think they are sort of moving away from his traditional position and very clearly identifying where the problems are.
Yes, this was an historic speech as well. Obviously, the first time that Mahmoud Abbas has addressed the Turkish Parliament. We know from the outset of the conflict, Ankara has stood shoulder to shoulder with the Palestinian people in Gaza, being one of the only few leaders to really openly criticize Israel for its continued attacks on Gaza. Explain to us what we can expect in terms of the reaction from Turkish lawmakers. Can we expect more action against Israel to protect Palestinians in Gaza?
Well, if you look at the various Turkish political parties, I think it's quite clear that at least the verbal support for the Palestinians is there. What the ruling ARC party has been saying is that some of the Turkish political parties have not been very clear or rather, in some cases, they haven't been supporting some of the resistance movements that form a fundamental part of the Palestinian resistance and the Palestinian struggle. So perhaps we could witness that shift when some of these Turkish political parties on the opposition benches see the sort of support that Palestinians have, and perhaps when they see the public support for the narrative that the ruling Ark party has been coming forward with, we might witness a change on that front. But overall, when it comes to support for Palestinians and the Palestinian cause, the Turkish support has been pretty consistent throughout the course of the history of the Republic. But in particular, when you look at the last 2 decades or so, I think it has been very clear. The government has said that it's not going to sit on the fence. It's going to take a very clear position. And sometimes, despite international pressures from the major powers, Türkiye has been very clear at recognizing resistance movements as resistant movements and not sort of crowing to the pressure. So I think we might witness that sort of change on the Turkish opposition benches, because clearly, when you look at the general public opinion in Türkiye, it is very supportive of the Palestinian cause.
Okay, Hassan Abdullah, we'll leave it there for now. Thanks so much for updating us there from Ankara.